The big story today, Adani, one of the big Adani companies, has been indicted in the United States of America. And that's a big story that Gautam Adani's company has been indicted by US prosecutors for conspiring with executives of a formerly New York listed company to devise a $250 million plus scheme to bribe Indian officials to boost their solar energy business. This is what the story is, ladies and gentlemen. What is the core of the charge here? The central charge is that there is this company called Adani Green, which has bribed officials in 5 Indian states. The states are Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, Chhattisgarh and Jammu and Kashmir. The charge is against Adani Green Energy. This is what the charge is. First of all, how is it America's business? I am not saying that Adani Green or the Adani Group is Dudh Ka Dhula or that they are completely innocent. But that is not the point. The point is, how is it the business of the United States? Whether or not Adani tried to bribe an Indian official. It is like saying, ladies and gentlemen, that the government of India files a case against any American company, Elon Musk for example, for doing something wrong in the state of Texas. If Elon Musk does something wrong in the state of Texas, it is the responsibility of Elon Musk to answer and is the jurisdiction of the United States government to investigate. How is it America's business whether Adani or any Adani Group company tried to bribe any Indian official? Now technically they can say no, it is very much within our jurisdiction because the company in concern comes under the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Because this company, Adani Green Energy, has business, raises money and is therefore answerable to US Securities and Exchange Commission. Technically they are correct, practically it makes no sense. The second point is, viewers, that this is purely because the Americans are very, very insecure about India. And the Americans know the strength of the Indian infrastructure machine and they know the importance of the Adani Group as one of the key infrastructure players coming out of India. And that's why I believe that wherever there is opposition right now to the Adani Group, whether it's in Kenya, whether it is with this particular solar energy project, or whether it's in Australia, whether it's anywhere else, it's large deep state actors of the Chinese and the Americans who see the Adani Group as a big threat. Interestingly, sometime back, the Adani Group's contract in Kenya, a proposed 30-year contract to do with airports and things, has also been cancelled. So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that it is the American deep state which in the last embers of its dying fire before Trump takes over is trying to create as much trouble as possible for all its enemies anywhere in the world. And India is a certain enemy. The Adani Group is a certain enemy. Let's make no bones about it. This case where Adani has been charged, of course they are innocent till proven guilty, will come up before a court and those who are heading that court are connected to the Soros Group. So another very important thing comes out here everywhere. Wherever the Americans have any leverage over Indian interests, Indian business groups or the Indian government, they will use it. One key point we need to consider, this is a tit for tat also for what the Adani Group did with Bangladesh. As you know, the CIA, the FBI had a big role in making the puppet, the army puppet Muhammad Yunus, whatever designation he's been given, advisor or something to the Bangladesh government. Basically, he's been put in charge as the puppet head of Bangladesh for now by the American deep state. Now he's in trouble. Bangladesh has no money to pay its power bills and it owes a lot of money, hundreds of millions to the Adani Group. They were not paying the bills. They went to the Adani Group. Adani Group was asked, can you please give us more time to pay our bills? Gautam Adani played hardball. He did not negotiate. He did not bend. The Bangladesh government, economy, everything is in crisis if Gautam Adani completely pulls the plug as far as power requirements are concerned. The Indian government did not intervene with the Adani Group either. That's a good thing because the Indian government is not speaking on behalf of the Adani Group. It's saying it's Adani's business, what business he has with Bangladesh. But all of this that is happening now, the charging of the Adani Group company in the US is happening within 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks. of Adani making life difficult for CIA, FBI puppet Mohammed Yunus. Please connect the dots. Also, viewers, just some time back, the Americans went and saw for themselves how big the renewable energy facilities of the Adani Group are. American Ambassador Eric Garcetti went to the Khandwa Renewable Energy Facility in Gujarat, where he said, and he tweeted some time back, he learnt about the Adani Green's innovative projects advancing India's zero emissions goal. Now, viewers, this visit happened to Khandwa on July 16th. It happened about 6 weeks after Narendra Modi was elected for a third consecutive term. The Americans went and checked out the Adani facility, realized that this is huge. It's a place where you can produce 20 to 20 gigawatts of power, something the Americans can't even dream of. And the Americans suddenly realized that here is India, which is becoming far more powerful than they expected. India is transferring defense technology to Southeast Asia. India has made Africa its playground. India is investing in Africa. Africans are interested in doing defense collaborations with India. India is a big infrastructure player now in Kenya. You've got Adani eyeing the airports in Kenya. Now you have potential solar power generation capabilities in India, which are far beyond what the Americans had ever dreamed of. Therefore, it becomes very necessary to somehow put the brakes on India. And therefore, you got to create trouble. Last point tonight, food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that we need to look the Americans in the eye and tell them that this is none of their business. Whether Gautam Adani or anyone tried to bribe an Indian government official or tried to bribe Jagan Mohan Reddy when he was chief minister in a YSRCP government in Andhra Pradesh is a matter for the Indian investigators to investigate. It is not something the Americans can poke their nose in. So we have to look them back in the eye and tell them, MYOB, mind your own business. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the deep state at play once again. And those who are working with the deep state, last night, in fact, very early this morning, the entire Twitter ecosystem of the Congi Twitter ecosystem was working overtime around 3:30 a.m., generating the tweets, turning the social media narrative, and doing their best to bring the Adani stock down. The Adani stocks are down 15 to 20%, most Adani companies today. But I believe it will make a comeback, but that's not the point. This happens every time before a parliament session is to happen. We have a parliament session in 10 days. And I also believe that there needs to be a strong investigation into what the interests of certain Indian MPs are. Now, many Indian MPs are there who are associated with quote-unquote American think tanks. These American think tanks are in turn funded by the American deep state. In other words, there are many MPs who, while they have been ex-MPs, have been enrolled into these American think tanks or are therefore directly or indirectly have been close to, associated with or on the payrolls of the American deep state. These are the people who immediately became overactive this morning. Think about all the points that I have mentioned today and please connect the dots. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not about Adani. It's the battle of the losing side, the Kamala Harris side, the Joe Biden side. Is the battle of the losing side and the American deep state before Trump takes over. And that's where this whole Adani story and the targeting of India comes in.